Hello, friends. I just wanted to go through what I talked about earlier on the call that we had about the money values and our goals. So I'm going to be sharing this um, screen that you can see now. I'm in the corner as a little video, and you can see this Excel spreadsheet that I kind of created, and this is what I use in my workshops, as Lisa knows. So I just wanted to go over some of this just to kind of give you a reference so you have a place to start, and then you can kind of go from there. So you won't pay attention to any of this, but I start with a master list of values. And so this is a really exhaustive or extensive list, as you can see here, of all kinds of different values that are available. And then I condensed it down to kind of uh, the more appropriate ones that I saw here. And then in the values cards, so I have, in fact, I'll show you if I can find it. Yeah, I have these value cards that I use with my clients in the sessions, and all they are just different cards that have words on them, no definitions, nothing. So it's just a bunch of words, and what we do is we separate these out into different categories. So I'll just take the first few, and you can kind of see. I'll go through this exercise. First one says, excuse me, spirituality, family, health, inner peace, home, love, freedom, consistency, peace, wisdom, fulfillment, joy, integrity. So there's a bunch of these. And so what I have people do as I go through the coaching is I have them do into 3 different piles: not important, important, and very important. Those are the 3 piles that I have them separate each out. So let's say, for example, you'd go through, okay, spirituality. If it's important to me, I put it in the important pile. If it's very important, that I know it's going to be on the top up or upper echelon of the values, I'll put it in the very important. Or if I know, you know what, obviously all of these things are going to be important, but it's not important to where it's going to be the top 10. I know that. I'm going to put it in the not important. So I put the spirituality in the category or the line that I like. The family, I'm going to put in. Health, I'm going to put in. Inner peace, I'm going to put in. Home, I put in. So I'm making these 3 piles. Then I take the bottom pile or the not important pile. That goes away. That's discarded. Then you take the important pile and the very important pile, and you split that up, put them back together, and then you do the same thing again. Not important, important, very important. And you're weeding those down to where you're going to get your top 10, top 15, and then you weed it down to your top 5, and then you weed it down to your top 3. That's where we're going to pick up. So if you want to do that exercise, I'm more than happy to provide these that you can kind of borrow and check it out. Otherwise, you can get them online or whatever. But anyway, so that's how I navigate the values cards out to find out what our values are. So I'm going to pop over to the summary page, and here's where we find out what those are. And I did a little quick cheat sheet over here on the right-hand side, money values, and so I pulled out the ones that are typical for the money conversation: travel, family, lifestyle, entertainment, retirement, vehicle upgrades, all this stuff. So that's kind of a cheat sheet of some of the money values that we might have or that we want to spend our money on. And then what I want people to do at this point, if you see here, top 5 long-term goals, top 5 short-term goals. It's more extensive than what I can do here, but the idea is, what do I want to do with money or regarding money in the next 2 years, 24 months? So right now to 24 months. Is that I want to upgrade my car? Is it that I want to get out of debt? Is it that I want to buy a home? Is it that I want to beef up my retirement account? Is it that I want to pay for my kids' school if they're in high school at this point and they're going to go off to college? Is it that I want to go on a vacation? Whatever it might be, that's in the next 2 years. Then I've got the long-term goals, which are more than 2 years out. So this is typically, for most people, is going to be the retire, travel, pay off their house, take a really big, awesome vacation. It might be buying a home. It might be rental property, whatever it might be. Like, those are the 2 years plus out there goals. So I want people to kind of have an idea of that. What are my short-term goals? What are my long-term goals? Because we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot long-term if we're just paying attention to the short-term. We'll get those things done, but then we will forget about the retirement and the paying off the house and the traveling and all that. We're going to get out a couple of years and be like, oh no, I haven't saved for those things. We also don't want to just pay attention to the long-term goals like retirement and travel and all that stuff, and then forget about the day-to-day things like I need to upgrade my vehicle because it's going downhill, and in 12 months it breaks down and I haven't saved for that because I've been throwing all my money into retirement. We don't want that either. We want to have that balance. So that's kind of that. So if you have some long-term goals and short-term goals, I suggest putting some of those in there, just so that you have your goals, and then your significant other or your partner, you want to make sure that they have their own individual goals as well, and then we start talking about it together, because then you'll have your own family goals, your couple goals. You can talk more about that, see what matches and what doesn't match. So maybe one of you would have travel at the top of your short-term goal, but the other one has it way at the bottom of a long-term goal. And so that's where you'd have to talk, okay, those aren't really aligned. But let's say you both have upgrading your vehicle on the top of your short-term goals. Well, that's something that you really have in common at that point, and you'll start shuffling those around according to your conversations. Okay, so what we're trying to do as far as the values go, we're looking at the right-hand side, we're thinking of any that you can think of that aren't on this list, and you want to come up with your core value. You see right here, that's your core value. And the reason we want to come up with core value is because that is the core. That's why I call it the core value. That's what everything will stem from as we're putting together our financial plan. So I'll give you mine as an example. My core value, number one core value, is freedom. And freedom means all kinds of different things to everybody. If you just said, okay, what does freedom mean to you? What does freedom mean to somebody else? What does freedom mean to me? We all have different definitions. But in my case, freedom means I don't want to be a slave to what I call chore mode, or I call my sense of responsibility, or any of those things. So my freedom is the core value. That's what I really want to focus on when I'm creating my budget, when I'm creating my financial plan, when I'm making any decisions. They stem out of the question of, does this feed my core value? Is it promoting my freedom? And so when I do workshops and when I do other classes and stuff, I have what are your long-term goals out there. Some people is vacation, some people is retirement, some people is buying a big house. Mine is freedom. I want the freedom to choose to do whatever I want to do, whether that's travel, which is very important to me and my wife. I want to be able to choose that when I work and when I don't work. I want the freedom to choose to be able to say, I'm going to go and do this thing over here that's not being productive because I can. So that's where that freedom comes in. So my core value, I've narrowed it down. I did all those values cards, excuse me, narrowed it down to freedom. Then you do the secondary one. And the secondary one, I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but you're going to do your secondary value, because those two are going to be where your budget comes from. Everything that you do in your life should stem from those core values and the secondary value. So that's how you do find out with this sheet. So I'm going to send this to you. You've got it in the email. Find out what your core value is. Find out what your secondary value is. And then when you're creating your budget, make sure you reference those two things when you say, okay, if my core value is family and I don't spend any money or put any money in my budget for family, well, that's what we talked about on the call, is there's going to be a big gap of not feeling fulfilled, not feeling that progress in your budget, because what you say your value is and what you're actually putting resources toward are not the same thing. You want to make sure that they're matching together. And that's the biggest thing that I have discovered over the last several years, and that I teach people over the last several years, is match your budget to your values. You have to do that. Otherwise, you're going to try a budget. It doesn't match your values. You're going to say, this stinks. I hate doing the budget. It's really ridiculous. And then you throw it out, and then you still live in that stressful state. So make sure you know what your values are individually, know what your partner's values are individually, respect those values, but then create your together couple values as well, which might be different depending on what your situation is. Then you're able to create your budget based on those values, and you're actually going to enjoy it, and you're going to love doing the budget. It's going to be a fun activity rather than a have-to activity. That's what I want people to do, to get to that place where they can actually do the budget and say, wow, I love this, because what you're doing is you're funding your dreams, you're funding your goals, you're funding your values. And when you do that, you're going to love life. So I hope that explains it. If you have any questions at all, let me know, shoot them back to me. I'd be happy to walk you through some of this as well. But you kind of know a little bit how to do that now. Finding your values, assigning your core and your secondary values, creating your budget, your life, your financial plan according to your values, and I promise you, you're going to make so much more progress. So that's what we're doing for now, and if you have any questions, again, let me know. Okay, talk to you soon.